That is for a 3-year term, which would expire March 2026. And I have had a nice long conversation with Eric, and I've read his letter of intent, and I believe Eric's skill set will bring a unique addition and really elevate the commission itself. So I'm anxious to have him begin his work with us, which hopefully, I think with a Zoom meeting coming up here to get him caught up on the first session of the consultation work with the historic guidelines being rewritten. So may I have a motion for, oh, I'm so sorry. And I also wanted to note that I did make that offer, or request, I should say, to our clerk to include my full statement so that it's in writing in the public record from the last meeting, or February 13th meeting, so.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so the motion is made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda is passed unanimously. That brings us to our next item, which is a presentation from Mr. Bill Hudson. He's the president of the former students and friends of the Robert S. Moton High School, or I should say school. The former students and friends of Robert Moton High School was established in 1972. If I did my homework correctly, I think that's what I found. By alumni from the Robert Moton School. Organization provides monetary aid to Carroll County Black students in the Carroll County school system to help them meet their educational goals. In order to do so, the foundation sponsors various social activities that reinforce the Moton heritage for Robert Moton alumni. All proceeds from these activities are placed in the scholarship funds for those students. I understand that Mr. Hudson is here this evening to present the foundation's aspirations for a Black History Museum here in our county. So please come to the microphone, sir. Thank you for coming.
Well, to the council members and to you, Madam Mayor, thank you for allowing us to be here.
My pleasure.
You just about made my speech.
Well, I do have to give a good introduction, but feel free for redundancy. We can take it.
Well, I think I've met one person. That's Chief Spaulding. I didn't do anything wrong, but he was a guest at my Rotary Club a couple of years ago.
Remember that.
And we had a good conversation at that time. One correction.
Okay.
It's 1972 is when we began giving out scholarships.
Okay.
So we just marked our 50th year this past December.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The organization actually started probably 5-6 years before that.
Okay.
The purpose at that time was that our school closed in 1965. And as the years went by, we kind of saw and felt the heritage of our school just slipping away. And so some of the former students got together and said, let's bring back that heritage. And we gave recognition to the teachers and the school bus drivers and the custodians for making the atmosphere for us to get an education a pleasant one. Some of us had to travel 27 miles one way to get a high school education here in Carroll County, because that was the only school we could go to. So we did that for several years, and then we got into the act of providing scholarships for our students here in Carroll County. And we've given out probably about 160 thus far.
Wow.
And hopefully we can stay around long enough to give out another 160. We want to spread our message in a different form. We have met with the county commissioners and asked them to, well, before I say that,
Sure.
how many of you are familiar with a former school?
Just from actually lessons from Mr. Dorsey
Okay, all right.
in the last few years.
Okay, well, it's situated up here in Westminster, and if you go there, you will see that building. If you go into the Carroll County Health Department, you pass our building before you get to the Health Department. And like I said, it closed in 1965. And bringing the heritage back has been a tremendous asset because not only does it recognize what we went through and how we turned out. Some of you may know or heard of Richard Dixon. Richard Dixon was the first and only African American to be elected from Carroll County to be a state delegate, and then later on to be the state treasurer. He was a graduate from Robert Morton High School. He was also president of the organization for some 30 years until he couldn't do it any longer because of his health. So as I was saying, we have approached the county commissioners to provide space in that building that we can create a Carroll County Museum of Black history and education here in Carroll County. We want to enhance the not only the thinking but the lives of the elderly people here in Carroll County, but also the youth, because it's been a lot of history that has passed by and we don't know about it. Mm-hmm. You know, as we look at what's happening today, people want to erase history. They don't want you to read this book, they don't want you to say this language or whatever. But we must maintain history in order for us to be better people. Mm-hmm. And I think the museum will do just that. It will enhance the economic status here in Carroll County because people will be coming in, buying gasoline, going to the restaurants, maybe having to stay over in a hotel. So that's the project that we want to indulge in. And speaking with your mayor, I had asked that maybe we can come together and come up with a resolution of support for this effort. I was talking to Mayor Jones from Union Bridge, who was instrumental when he was commissioner of Carroll County in providing a space for us in the old school for us to have our meetings and things to go on. Currently, there are two agencies in the building right now, Park and Recs and Board of Elections. And it's a lot of space in that building. And we just want to have some of it to talk about life here in Carroll County. Carroll County is a good county, but let's just make it a better county with more diversity and maybe a little more economic success. In talking with Mayor Jones, he had mentioned that there's a meeting this Thursday with all the mayors.
Indeed, yep. Actually, all of the elected officials are welcome to the Maryland Municipal League chapter meeting, yes.
Okay. So he advised me to call Mayor Wance. And the mayor called me back today. Says, you're on the program, buddy.
All right, excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
So,
That's a great idea.
7:30, I'll be there Thursday night to make the same pitch to all the mayors in Carroll County. We have joined the Chamber of Commerce, which has been effective for us. We have become a part of the Carroll County Historical Society.
Excellent.
We've been traveling with them somewhat. And in fact, I think there's one this Thursday in Mount Airy.
Okay.
So we've got our projects and we've got our duties to carry out and make this thing a success. But we need your help. In any way, shape, form, or fashion you can help us, we'll be delighted. We have been meeting with some state officials as far as getting grants together and these kinds of things. And I had made the proposal to the commissioners that being one is leaving in 4 years,
Yes.
and the others will be around maybe another term. But let's make this project a successful one during your first term.
I had a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I had read a Baltimore Sun article that wasn't super current, but I think it might have reflected the most recent time you all met with the commissioners, with the Board of Commissioners. Has there been more than one meeting with them?
Yes.
We would just like 3, 4, 5
Yes.
over the number of years.
Past 8 years,
Okay.
we have met with the commissioners
Okay.
with this project. And, they all agree in lip service But we need more than lip service.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir. And I believe the Board of Elections, Carroll County's Board of Elections, apparently, I read in the article, has gotten a little bit bigger and taking up a little bit more space in the building. And as time goes by, it seems the available space is getting smaller, and perhaps the opportunity
not
maybe
only
as
that,
well.
but I guess it was maybe a month ago,
Okay.
the election board approached the commissioners that they needed more space, and they wanted out of the building. So if that's the case, we're there. The school was built for educating African Americans. Let's continue down that track.
Okay. Well, you have my word that I will at least present a resolution to the group, and we'll discuss that at a future meeting and get that ball rolling.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay.
Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your time.
Any questions? Or
I actually have, what's your plan for the future with other generations taking up the mantle and the banner
Good
behind your
question,
group?
because we've been thinking about that too. Probably, I want to say maybe 6 weeks ago, we've reached out to some of the recipients of our scholarship program, and 7 of them came forth
Hello.
and said, we want to be a part of it.
Good.
And believe me, they have made a big dent, because we're ready to meet our maker.
I didn't want to frame it that way.
I mean, it's closer now than it was.
For us all, for us all.
And they've come in with some new ideas, but maintaining the root of what we're trying to do.
Good.
And I was sitting in the meeting because about 3 of them showed up at the last meeting we had with the commissioners. And I mean, they were right on point, right on point.
Good.
And it makes us feel proud, because they're the products of us.
So one other question I have is, like, what are the obstacles to doing this? It doesn't seem overly complex to me to be able to find a room in the building that you're talking about. Are you looking for more than a room? Are you, like, what are you trying to accomplish?
We have a room now, probably the size of this room, for our meeting room. And we don't want a museum to be a junk house.
Sure.
We want it to be something that Carroll County would appreciate. You would appreciate, I would appreciate. So we need probably 2 times this much space, and it's there. And just give us the word, and we'll go to work and starting on our grants and working with the engineers and everybody, and get the job done with the help of you.
Understood.
Yes, we need the community behind us. And so far, the meetings that I have been to, I had one gentleman, probably in his 70s, and I guess you haven't, because inside the building, when you walk in, it's almost like walking into a museum. I would invite any of you to go up there. There's pictures on the wall of the old schools here in Carroll County, old colored schools as they were called, the teachers, all the principals, and as you walk down the hallway, there are graduation classes and pictures of the events that were carried out throughout the years. So this gentleman, I don't know if any of you were at the, let me look it up here real quick, at the Westminster High School, last week or 2 weeks ago? The history essays that were given to the students here in Carroll County. And I met this gentleman there, and he said he coaches basketball in our old school. And he says, I go in there and I look around, and it's amazing, the history. I want to know more about it. And that's what we want to do. Let everybody know the history, because it wasn't all bad. We got an education second to none with all the inadequate materials that we had. Dixon can go down, be a delegate. I was fortunate enough to be an administrator in state services. And so a lot of goodness came out of it. We were able to handle it. And it made us who we are today. Nothing negative about it, all positive. So we just want to spread that through the museum.
I'd
Thank
like
you.
the story to be told too, so thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
My pleasure, Mr. Hudson.
Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to working with you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and that brings us to our next item, and one of new business, which is to consider, discuss, act upon canceling our next meeting, which is currently scheduled for March 27th. I will turn to Joe to present the background to why it is that he doesn't want us to have this. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Joe.
No, again, it's just, there is a separate out-of-state meeting that several of us are planning on attending. It's the National Main Street Conference in Boston. So there will be several of us that are not going to be present for that meeting. So it really didn't seem relevant to keep it on the schedule. So we just wanted to go ahead and present it to the council for discussion on whether or not we should just go ahead and cancel it, or alternatively, we could leave it on the schedule in case there's some sort of emergency that the rest of the people that are staying behind, if they have to have that meeting.
Right, because we had discussed business and agendas futuristically, as Joe and I always do, and from a staff perspective and a business perspective, it was so incredibly light that there's nothing so pressing that it couldn't wait that we're aware of at this point.
Being that I would have to run that, I'm okay with canceling.
So I have a motion from the council president. Is that what that was? Anyone else have any comment?
Joe, I do have a question for you because March 27th is the last day to submit your application for running as a candidate. Would you post those on the website? Because normally
Sure.
we announce those at that meeting.
Yeah, and that's no problem. And so again, it's the last day to submit your candidacy, but then it's usually the next meeting is when all the paperwork has to be filed, like the ethics forms and everything like that. So by April 10th is when I guess the ballot is set. So that's when the public announcement can be made.
Okay.
Yeah, it used to be the old system of having to come here
Right.
and have a first and a second.
Yeah, the nomination process, as everyone knows in this room at least, but for the public's edification, it's been updated recently. So it's all being done through the candidacy filing forms, and not being the nomination process is completely been
Streamlined.
streamlined. Thank you. Yes, and so not making that announcement until the April 11th meeting.
I want to say it's the 10th,
10th.
April 10th. Yeah.
Would be okay with you? Okay. All right.
Yeah, because even after the people got nominated, sometimes they decide not to run.
Not fill out the rest of the forms.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
It's the 10th is Easter Monday. That's not a federal holiday.
It is not.
It is
Okay.
not.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So I'm looking for a motion unless there's more questions.
I will make a motion that we cancel the March 27th meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Council
Second.
President Carter, and seconded by Councilman Schofield. Any need for further debate on the matter? All right, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of cancellation of the meeting on March 27th, 2023, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? And Mr. Hudson also is in favor of us canceling the meeting. Good evening, sir. Any opposed? Okay, so we will have, that's passed unanimously. We will not have a mayor and town council meeting on March 27th. I would like to, let's see
That first
here.
announcement.
Yeah, I guess, let's see, how did I do that? All right, so announcements would be inclusive of the following, and then we'll move on. Yes, so I wanted to announce that candidacy filing forms must be submitted by noon on March 27th. Mail-in ballot request forms are currently available on the town's website, and election day is May 2nd. That brings us to staff updates. Anything else, Joe?
I have a few just to give everybody an update on kind of the ongoing progress on Main Street.
Please.
So last week was the first week for the road closure there on the south end of Main Street. There was some progress made. I think it's 3 manholes that they're trying to get installed down here. I know they did get 1 done. The other 2 are slated to be done this week. So again, that closure period was supposed to be for the end, I guess, all of this week as well. They did not work today because there was some lining efforts going on along Main Street, and they didn't want to have that closed while that other effort was going on. So hopefully they make enough progress this week where they don't have to extend that closure any longer. But right now, at least as far as we know for now, the closure is only scheduled for the rest of this week. We did get 1 complaint, or actually several comments over the weekend, then 1 formal complaint today about, I guess over the weekend, the message boards along 32 remained saying that Main Street was closed, even though over the weekend, in fact, it was open. So we have passed that message along to contractors to say, whenever the roads are fully open, to go and either turn those signs off or flip them around or do something so people know that the roads are open.
I was gonna say something, but somebody already did.
So we have passed that along to the contractors, and SHA is aware as well. Just a reminder that the ongoing work at the post office building is going to continue starting this Wednesday. It's actually going to be closed from Wednesday through next Monday. So again, this is all interior painting and work that's going on. So it's easier to close it down for a week, get all that done, and then we'll be open next Tuesday. And then public announcement that the spring cleanup is set for April 15th. I want to make sure everybody's aware of that far enough in advance to start getting your spring cleaning started. April 15th.
The bulk trash.
Bulk pickup. Yeah.
Bulk trash pickup.
Yep.
Thank you.
Free bulk
Yeah.
pickup day.
I thought it was on the 21st. I gotta change that.
Spring
date.
cleanup is the 22nd, which is the Spark sponsored cleanup.
Spark
But the
Free
bulk trash, free bulk trash pickup day is the 15th, 1-5 Saturday.
And that is all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ann.
Are you able to have a shredding company available on the 15th that any?
We are looking into that, so that'll be
Okay.
something, because I know there's also the Habitat for Humanity is potentially going to be staged over at
Little Sykes Road.
Little Sykes parking lot. If we had a shredding company, they would probably have to be in our parking lot somewhere, but we'll get those details out before we make the official, I guess let's just call it mailing that goes out to everybody, so for the newsletter.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And Joe, as far as the interior work at the post office / visitor center, that's also inclusive of, I would normally say this in a meeting with you, like not publicly, but are the water fountains being removed in a timely fashion for the painting to happen?
Water fountains are gone,
Thank
and the
you.
patchwork is already done,
Okay,
so
thank you.
it's ready for
Great.
paint.
Excellent. Okay, I may just make this announcement now since it just came up with the Habitat for Humanity. So last year we had a pickup, the Habitat for Humanity's Restore from Westminster, or Restore of Carroll County, truck came by and picked up donations at the curbside. And we did that in tandem with all of the bulk trash also being sat out. And it got a little cumbersome of a process. So this year, we are staging a Fill the Truck event. So the truck will be stationary and be parked at the Little Sykes Rail parking lot. And anyone with donations for Restore, and this will all be detailed in the newsletter, but I'm going to take the opportunity now. Anyone with donations for Restore would take those to the truck at Little Sykes Rail unless the item is too large for one they don't have a vehicle adequate to carry, let's say, a couch to the truck. And at that point, or I should say ahead of time, anyone with the larger scale donations with an inability to get it to the Little Sykes Rail where the truck will be parked will have to contact Habitat for Humanity and make those arrangements for pickup. And the truck will come by the homes and pick up with a predetermined scheduling sort of event after the Fill the Truck event is over. They'll start going around town to places that have already contacted them and scheduled that. So, again, all those details will be in the newsletter. So we still are having a donation opportunity. It just will not be at curbside. So do not put them at curbside this year. Okay. Next on the staff update list is Treasurer's Report. Craig, please join us at the podium.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
At this time, I'd like to present the February Treasury's report. We're just zooming along here. 2/3 of the year is down at this point. That's pretty cool. At this point, the revenue is exceeding the expenditures by $463,000, which puts us in pretty good shape to hopefully stay that way at that level. The highlights on the revenue side, we've received $233,000 in income taxes. 26 in highway user revenue, and 7,000 for the sale of the 2013 Ford Explorer.
Yes.
Moment of silence.
Yes. That one internally.
On the expense side, the budget revision was implemented and is reflected in the report that I distributed on Friday, which has addressed and smoothed out, obviously, several expense areas which were previously over budgeted. So we kind of addressed all those needs, and then we're in pretty good shape there. In terms of the actual expenses, it's easier just to go right to the check register to actually go over some of the expenses. There wasn't that many out of line, or not out of line, but that many that were material oriented, but just go over like the major highlights. Bitzer and Associates spent $5,000 for the appraisal report on the Warfield Avenue property. I guess you're all familiar with that. We spent with KCI $40,000 engineering the townhouse lawn project, which I personally am excited about. I don't know why.
Yes, you do. You know why.
Tree could go though. The New Holland Auto, obviously $105,000. We know where the nice trucks that are now sitting out by the police department for the EV Lightning and the F-150 Responder. Exciting stuff there. Parker Fuel, we spent about $10,000 for a new boiler in the gatehouse. Boo. We spent on Derek's credit card about $11.3 on various vehicle repairs, mainly on the 2015 F-550, the exhaust manifold. I don't know what that really entails in a vehicle.
Apparently a lot.
Not being auto-oriented, I don't know what that is. And then the last was the Telnet Group 18.3, which was the chief's Thorn final payment on the Main Street cameras. So that was like really good. I guess we're finished that project. Hopefully.
Up and running.
Long time coming and finally up and running. Yes, loving it. And paid for, I should say. They've been up and running.
So to address, I guess, the elephant in the room in terms of the cash that we have at the Farmers and Merchant Bank, as well as some other CD investments. I spoke with them, Farmers and Merchant, just to kind of get a feel for, how they were, the comfort level that they had with their deposits. Obviously, they're a much more conservative organization than Silicon Valley Bank or Signature Bank. I mean, they don't obviously dealing with new venture or startup companies, or obviously the other currency, the cryptocurrency. So they assured me that they would. They had a meeting. They're going to put out probably some type of public, correspondence soon. If we want them to come and meet with us, the council, whatever, they were more than happy to do that as well. If you needed some, more confidence in their the deposits that we have there. I feel very secure. I hate to say it, but if they have problems, probably the whole United States is having problems at that point in the whole banking industries. But I don't really see that being an issue with, especially because Farmers and Merchants. Just to give you a quick background, they've been around here in 1919. They bought out obviously Carroll Community Bank, and they're much larger, about $500 million deposits and assets. So all our money is secure and insured. There's not like a 250 situation with our monies. It's all insured. It's all backed by the bank itself. So it's not like you will need a bailout or anything like that's going to happen. So just kind of saying that out, just being like I was being a little aggressive here, just to kind of make sure everything was going on there.
No, I'm glad that you've done the research. I'm not surprised they have, but I'm happy to hear, and I'm sure the public is too.
Yeah, obviously I wasn't the first one to reach out to them this morning. Because everyone's a little concerned, we'll say. So
Thank you for that, Greg.
Other than that, I have nothing else to comment on. If anybody has any questions.
Nope. Good.
I was wondering,
Other than the dollar question?
no, that's not.
Really reclass that, or
I feel like we've spent that dollar.
way more than a dollar's worth of labor right
I just thought it was funny.
No, it is funny, I know.
The next
got your
budget
humor.
amendment, that'll be changed to $1. So, I was wondering.
Specific line item.
Specific line item. I noticed that the donation to the firehouse hasn't been made yet. Is that,
I have to make that,
okay.
as well as the Raincliff trash rebate.
Yep.
and monies.
Yeah.
I got it on a note to take
To
care
get that
of this
done.
month, yeah.
And I was another one. I was going to talk to Joe a little bit. I did find the ordinance, the budget ordinance, but can we put that into the treasury area of the website? And can we also include the detailed one? Because it's just the ordinance up there with just the main.
You just want the backup that the council gets? That
Yeah,
shows all
spreadsheet.
line items? Sure, yeah, absolutely.
If that's okay, just for transparency. So
Thank you. I mean, it's there, it's just finding.
I
your
could
way
not
around.
find it Friday. I couldn't find it, but then when you
Yeah.
pointed it to me. But I was expecting to see the
Well,
spreadsheet.
and you're familiar with the website, so can imagine, for someone who may not be,
Yeah.
to try to find something so specific, so, great. Thank you, Councilman Grassley. Council President.
Craig, I saw this after hours and I didn't want to bother you. There was 2 payments made to Comcast on behalf of the townhouse, and they're overlapping dates. One is for internet service 2/1 to 3/10, and the other one is from 2/19 to 3/18. Do you have 2 internet services here?
For some reason, we have a specific internet at the townhouse, and we have a specific one at the police department. But it's being coded as, it looks like it's all for the townhouse.
Gotcha. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was a coding issue or if it was a.
More of a naming issue, I
Okay,
guess, or
yeah.
more of a, description issue. But
I'm gonna
it's
guess
not-
that
it's
Craig asked
separate.
them to change that like 12 times and it just hasn't been
Yeah, they're a little
changed.
fun to deal with, trust me.
Oh, dealing with Comcast is always a joy
Yes,
at the cable commission.
good catch though. That's
Yeah, it
very
makes-
No, it's a valid question, and maybe I'll try to further break it down on the next
Delineate.
meeting.
Can you change it on your end, on the naming?
I can
Okay.
do it.
That way you can separate both buildings.
It's actually hard on me too, so it would kind of behoove me as well to get it more clarified.
Good deal. Thank you, Craig.
I'll
That
handle
was it.
Thank you. Anything else from the other side of this table? Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you, Craig. And I
Thank you.
appreciate your green in advance of Friday's
I know it's a
big
little
day.
early, but
Well, we're here tonight, so.
I won't see you guys.
Yeah,
Just want
so
to
this
kind
is
of
great. I
reach out to
appreciate
those
it.
St.
Green
Patty's.
socks too, Craig?
Yeah, go, yeah, green socks.
Of course.
As soon as he sits down, you'll see them, and he's got green in his suede too. There it is. Okay, next up is Chief Spaulding with our public safety report, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Before we begin, I want to address a few questions that we had in keeping with our new pattern here.
Thank you.
There was a question about, let's just call it the illegal dumping incident.
Wowzers. Call it.
And actually, we're pleased to have Officer Jacobs here tonight, who meticulously investigated said illegal dumping.
Sounds like a traffic stop to me.
If you want to get down into the details,
Down and dirty.
yes. The question,
Traffic job.
we could spend all night just on that one, right? The question was it a prank? No, in fact, it was not a prank. Apparently, someone needed to go really badly and pulled over at that location to do so. Unfortunately, as a result of Officer Jacobs' thorough investigation, we were not able to identify the violator. So there was no arrest or issuance of a fine. However, a fine would have been within our fine schedule of $100, a Class B violation. So just wanted to address that.
So did somebody call that in, or did you just see it? Oh, they did.
Someone witnessed it.
Okay, okay. All right.
Yes. Nice way to start your day off, right? All right.
Was it during the day or was it at
It
night?
was in the morning, yeah, broad daylight. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, coffee.
Yeah, that's somebody was ill.
Very, very possibly.
Broad daylight.
Okay, we
All right,
can move
sorry.
on.
Yes, please.
Thank
I just was a little. For the last 5 minutes, maybe, I don't know.
Another question was about the dog bite incident. There was a question is whether the owner was cited. No, the owner was not cited. It was a family pet that actually bit a member of the family, so there was no citation to the parents.
So I am curious then why it was reported, who reported it?
Do you remember that one? It's required to be reported.
Oh, is it?
And medical attention was necessary.
Oh, okay.
We
See,
still have to do a dog bite.
Our dog has never bitten anyone, but when I was a kid, we had a dog that would bite someone. But Detroit's a little different than here in many results. And, okay, I get it. Now I know, thank you.
As Chief said, because it happened to me, if medical attention
Right.
is required, then you have to, it's not.
That triggers a
Yeah,
response from us.
The
I've been
medical
educated, thank you.
department.
Of course.
Yes.
Another question was about the fight that you may have seen, Schoolhouse Road neighborhood. Was an altercation involving, actually one, was caused by one unruly, I'll call her unruly juvenile that we have had a lot of dealings with in that area. Actually struck another juvenile and pulled her hair. And in that case, we did file a juvenile petition, so the juvenile will hopefully be held accountable through the juvenile court system. And lastly, about the Mount Airy incident, and again, I'm fortunate to have Officer Jacobs here. The initial question was about us investigating an incident in Mount Airy, and yes, that is somewhat far away from us geographically. However, in this particular incident, Officer Jacobs was en route to work in his police car, heard the call go out, happened to be a minute away from the location, and thankfully he did respond because it was an autistic juvenile that was beating his mother on the side of the road. Officer Jacobs intervened. I believe you were the first car on the scene? Yeah. Intervened and did, from all accounts, a phenomenal job of de-escalating the situation, calming down the juvenile, using some of his extensive background in the medical profession, calming down the juvenile and ultimately resolving the situation, after which I believe the mother was extremely appreciative of your intervention and involvement in the case. And she was injured, I believe treated on the scene, or I don't think she was transported. Yeah. So that's kind of the reason for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. And I wanted to mention, I think that was the last question. I also wanted to point out another instance where Officer Hoppe was actually on her way to work, and this was on this report as well. She was in her personal vehicle because she's still on probation. Heard a call go out with her radio. Happened to stop, was an unconscious person that had overdosed. And once again, thankfully, she was prepared with Narcan, was able to administer Narcan. And I guess the EMS arrived on the scene shortly after, administered a second dose, and basically brought the person back to life. So phenomenal. Both of these incidences are a great example of why we eventually allow our officers to take their cars home, and the fact that we are always on duty, even traveling to and from work. You don't want to just ignore what's going on around you. You want to take action. In both cases, basically helped to potentially save a life in one case, and probably did save a life in the other case. So excellent examples of the type of character that our police officers have.
Absolutely.
Can I ask a follow-up question in reference to it? It's, I just don't know. Is it the officer's best judgment that has them respond to these calls, or is there an expectation they're supposed to respond to these calls? Like, how does that process work?
We have policies in place. I mean, basically, if they're responding to and from, we're covered under the special deputy status that we have through the sheriff's office. But if there's a life and death situation or somebody in need of assistance, then they're expected to stop.
Got it.
I mean, if it was a minor traffic violation or a minor call where there was other units available, we probably wouldn't respond. We would continue to work or home. But they have all proven that they use sound judgment and discretion and know when to respond and when not to. And in this case, they were both absolutely correct in taking the action they did.
Excellent.
It's interesting too, because in one of Officer Hoppa's other reports, she mentions being videotaped by somebody and questioned about why she was out of jurisdiction and what authority she had to do
Right.
anything.
That was on an assist other agency, I believe. Where,
Yep.
Yeah. She has been, I don't know if it was her or was it Officer Young, several times, and I know we're jumping ahead here a little bit, but there was instances where I believe it was the sheriff's office requested a unit with a cage. And actually, Officer Hoppa has a cage, but Officer Young does not in the Tesla. But in one case with Officer Young, she actually happened to be here and just switched cars and got in the car with the cage to respond to assist. So we don't want to make a habit of that, of course, because it takes us away from town. But when we can help, and it's fairly close proximity, we certainly will, because they'll do the same for us. Yeah.
And have.
Absolutely, yeah. We just, again, I'm jumping ahead here. Another tangent. We just recognized, we had our annual awards banquet this past Friday night, and we recognized Trooper Neal from the State Police as just one of the many troopers and deputies that we continually see or hear is there to back us up on traffic stops at all hours of the day and night. And I thought it was appropriate to recognize them and thank them for that, because truly could be a lifeline to our officers in the middle of the night to have another trooper or deputy there on a dangerous call. So we're very fortunate to have that relationship.
Excellent.
Okay, just, I guess, get back to the PSR covering February 21st through March 5th. You'll see 401 total events. Nothing really jumps out as extraordinary. Again, they're still doing the community policing. I know we're hoping they'll increase as the weather gets warmer. Patrol checks, traffic enforcement initiatives, 401 total events. So nothing remarkable about the report, but you'll see there was 14 incident reports. We've talked about a few of them, but if there's any other questions about any of the other incident reports, yes, ma'am.
I do. It's very quick and easy. It was number 029. And it was regarding a theft on Springfield Avenue. Did that theft take place at the residence? It did.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Mayor.
They're new to town.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had a cleaning, I wouldn't call it a company, but it was a lady, two ladies were actually cleaning the house. Both were Hispanic speaking, and some money disappeared. Sergeant Kirkner took the initial report, and due to the fact that he was, I think, planning to go to school, he assigned the case to Officer Picardo, who's fluent in Spanish, and he was actually able to speak to one of the two ladies, and they immediately offered to come back and return the money. So it was a good resolution to the case. No charges were filed, but in the end, the victim was happy with that course of action. Of course, got her money back, and it was a great job by Kirkner and Picardo, and with kind of teaming up on this case.
I appreciate that. That's. I'm glad I asked on that question, on that one too. Thank you. That's great. Yep.
Any other questions?
Nope. Thanks for the follow-up on the questions, Chief. It's greatly appreciated.
Chief.
And just one last thing I wanted to mention, with staffing, it looks like we will be adding Sergeant Lacey to our staff here, hopefully next Monday, if all goes well. Lieutenant and I have been finishing up the background, as well as all the hiring steps, and everything looks really good. He's very excited to come on board, and I think he's going to be a huge asset to us. So very excited about that.
And he's joining us from what department?
Well, he retired from the state police with nearly 30 years of service, but he spent a short period of time with the town of Mount Airy, and I won't go into the reasons why, but
Sure.
he decided to part ways, and
Excellent.
quite honestly, their loss was our gain.
I say, good for us.
Yes, we're very fortunate to have him.
Great.
And I wanted to mention at the awards ceremony, we recognized our Officer of the Year as well as our Auxiliary Officer of the Year. And you may not be surprised, but I'm sure you'll be very happy to hear that Officer Annalise Young was our Officer of the Year.
Congratulations.
And what's incredible about that is she just graduated last year and spent less than, half the year? 8 months total service in full duty, and yet was able to win the honors of being the Officer of the Year. So
That's awesome.
I think she has a very bright future here with us, and we're very excited to see what she does next. So great hire by all of us.
So are we. We're very pleased too.
Officer Ian Ward, I'm sure many of you have met him at some of the events, but he's one of our auxiliary officers. He was the auxiliary officer of the year.
Fantastic.
So,
Excellent.
it was good to recognize them as well as others for a great year and for a lot of productivity and great work by all. So we have very good staff here. I thank you all for that.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So that brings us to council committee reports. I'm just gonna open it up to the table. Anybody with anything to add?
Nope.
Okay.
I want to reiterate what the mayor had said on Wednesday, I believe it's at 2:00. The HDC Historic District Commission, along with town staff, will be meeting via Zoom with our consultants to discuss the update on our historic district guidelines.
Excellent. Thank you.
We did meet with the planning commission. What we did was we went over the annual report for 2022. This is a document that kind of gets subsumed into the county's master plans. Just for the public, the sorts of things that get added into that are any updates to our comprehensive plan or plan elements, any site plan approval, subdivision or site plans, any zoning map changes or text amendments, any facilities related issues, or any other major changes in development patterns. And of course, right now is a time where there's different developers coming into our town interested in doing different things. This is a document that if you're a member of the public and you're interested, it's a good way to stay on top of these sorts of issues, and it should be a part of the open comments or open documents that are on our website. So just want to point that out.
That's
Thanks.
great. Thank you. Okay. This is my favorite kind of meeting, except I didn't place a wager before we started. Daggone it. Well, I will at this point then announce that we are going to have a closed session this evening, and I will read the rationale behind this evening's closed session. The meeting is being proposed to be closed pursuant to the General Provisions article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, Section 3-305B, and in this case this evening, number 3, to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto. Acquisition of property, downtown Sykesville connection proposal. So with that, I will invite the gallery and all of those that came and stuck it out for the last 52 minutes to exit the chamber so we can go into closed session, and thank you for coming.
Thanks,
Take a
everybody.
5-minute recess. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for not asking about the lady